The Hunt for the Man Behind the World's Largest Dark Web Market. Based on Alexandre Cazes, Alphabi Operation Bayonet 2017 runtime. 10 minutes 650 words. In 2017, the U.S. Attorney General stood before cameras and announced the largest dark web takedown in history. The marketplace they had just destroyed was called Alphabi. It was 10 times larger than Silk Road. It had over 200,000 registered users, 40,000 vendors, 250,000 drug listings alone. Heroin, fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, plus stolen identities, weapons, malware, and counterfeit currency. In less than 3 years, it had processed over $1 billion in criminal transactions. And the man who built it had hidden so perfectly behind layers of encryption, anonymous servers, and carefully constructed digital identities that for years, nobody could find him. Until they found his email address in a welcome message that he had been sending to every new user since the day the site launched. Chapter 1. Alpha 02. His name was Alexandre Cazes. He was born in 1991 in Trois-Rivières, Quebec, a small city between Montreal and Quebec City. By his early 20s, he had built a legitimate computer repair business in Canada called EBX Technologies. He was, by all visible measures, an unremarkable young entrepreneur. Online, he was someone else entirely. The username Alpha 02 had existed in dark web forums since at least 2008, long before Alphabi launched. In hacker and carding communities, Alpha 02 was a known and respected figure. Technically skilled, operationally careful, someone who understood how the underground economy worked and how to navigate it without getting caught. In December 2014, Alpha 02 launched Alphabi. It was presented from the start as the evolution of Silk Road. Everything Silk Road had been, but faster, larger, more secure, and more professionally operated. Within months, it was the dominant marketplace. On the dark web. Chapter 2. The Empire. Alphabi's growth was extraordinary even by legitimate tech company standards. In its first year, it processed tens of millions of dollars in transactions. By 2017, it had become something genuinely unprecedented. 250,000 listings for drugs and toxic chemicals. 100,000 additional listings for stolen data, malware, weapons, and forged documents. Over 200,000 registered buyers. 40,000 active vendors selling from locations across the world. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies flowing through a system designed to make every transaction untraceable. Cazes ran Alphabi with the methodical professionalism of someone who had thought carefully about every possible way the operation could be exposed. Multiple servers across multiple countries. Strict operational security rules communicated to vendors. A team of moderators managing disputes and maintaining the marketplace's reputation for reliability. He lived in Bangkok, Thailand, a country with no extradition treaty with the United States. He drove luxury cars, bought expensive properties, lived openly and lavishly in a city where his real identity, as far as he understood, was completely disconnected from his online one. He was wrong. But the mistake that exposed him had been sitting in plain sight since the very first day he launched. The site. Chapter 3. The email address. When Alphabi launched in December 2014, the platform automatically sent welcome emails to every new user who registered. Standard procedure. Routine functionality. But the address those emails came from was not a carefully constructed anonymous account. It was pimp_alex_91@hotmail.com. That email address, the same one that had been associated with Alexandre Cazes' LinkedIn profile, his legitimate Canadian business, and various other digital footprints going back years, was embedded in the system-generated emails Alphabi sent to every single new user from the moment it launched. Investigators discovered this linkage during their early forensic work on Alphabi's infrastructure. The man running the world's largest criminal marketplace had left his personal email address in the code of his welcome message. Not as a deliberate communication. Not as an oversight he later caught and corrected. It sat there quietly for the entire life of the marketplace, connecting Alpha 02 directly to Alexandre Cazes. The most basic operational security rule in dark web activity: never connect your real identity to your criminal one. violated in the most ordinary possible way. But finding the mistake was only the beginning. Finding Cazes himself required something else entirely. Chapter 4. The Operation. The investigation into Alphabi involved the FBI, the DEA, Europol, the Dutch National Police, the Royal Thai Police, and law enforcement agencies across more than 6 countries. It was codenamed Operation Bayonet. What made Operation Bayonet genuinely remarkable was not simply that it identified the target. It was the simultaneous operation that ran alongside it. While American and Thai authorities were building their case against Alphabi and Alexandre Cazes, Europol and the Dutch National Police had quietly done something extraordinary. They had identified another major dark web marketplace called Hansa, and instead of simply shutting it down, they had secretly taken control of it. In June 2017, Dutch police arrested Hansa's 2 German administrators and assumed complete covert control of the entire platform. For nearly a month, law enforcement was secretly running Hansa, processing transactions, communicating with vendors as if they were the real administrators, and systematically collecting the real identities and addresses of buyers and sellers from around the world. The plan was deliberate and elegant. When Alphabi went down, law enforcement knew that its hundreds of thousands of users would immediately flee to the next most trusted marketplace, which was Hansa, which was, by then, already secretly run by the Dutch police. Chapter 5. The Trap Closes. On July 4, 2017, Alphabi went offline. Hundreds of thousands of dark web users, suddenly without their primary marketplace, did exactly what investigators predicted. They flooded to Hansa. What they didn't know was that Hansa's operators had modified the platform specifically to capture their data. All user passwords were being recorded in plain text. The platform's encryption convenience feature had been secretly modified to record unencrypted copies of all messages. The automatic photo metadata removal tool had been altered to capture geographic data before stripping it. Over 10,000 delivery addresses, the real home addresses of buyers placing orders through what they believed was a secure criminal marketplace, were passed to Europol. While that trap was springing closed, the other half of the operation was executing in Bangkok. Alexandre Cazes was arrested on July 5, 2017, at his home in the Thoi Wat Thana district of Bangkok. When Thai police and FBI agents arrived, Cazes was logged into his laptop, performing an administrative reboot on an Alphabi server. His laptop was open, unlocked, completely unencrypted. On it, investigators found a personal net worth statement, a detailed document mapping all of his global assets across multiple jurisdictions, properties, cryptocurrency wallets, bank accounts, everything they needed to seize every asset he owned, laid out in a single unencrypted file on the laptop he was using when they walked through the door. Chapter 6. The Death. On July 12, 2017, 1 week after his arrest, Alexandre Cazes was found dead in his cell at Thailand's Narcotics Suppression Bureau headquarters in Bangkok. He was 25 years old. Thai and American authorities determined that his death was a suicide by hanging. He had never faced trial. The scale of what he had built, and what would have been the evidence against him, became public in the weeks that followed. Hundreds of millions of dollars in seized cryptocurrency, properties across Thailand, Cyprus, Antigua, and other locations, luxury cars registered to shell companies, multiple passports from different countries, the lifestyle of a man who had genuinely believed that geography, encryption, and operational discipline had made him untouchable. The lifestyle funded by a marketplace directly linked to dozens of overdose deaths across the United States and beyond. Investigators connected Alphabi drug sales to fatal fentanyl and synthetic opioid overdoses in multiple American states. Chapter 7. The Double Trap. The full genius of Operation Bayonet only became clear when the Hansa shutdown was announced 2 weeks after Alphabi. The dark web community had believed that Hansa was a safe haven. It had been a trap. The simultaneous nature of the operation, one marketplace destroyed, the next one already under law enforcement control, was described by Europol as one of the most sophisticated takedown operations ever seen in the fight against online criminality. During the month Dutch police secretly ran Hansa, users made 27,000 illegal transactions, generating evidence against buyers and sellers across dozens of countries. When Hance's seizure notice finally went up on July 20, 2017, it directed users to an Operation Bayonet page that informed them their activities had been monitored. The message was deliberate. It wasn't just a takedown. It was a demonstration that the dark web's fundamental promise, that the system guaranteed anonymity, was not something law enforcement could not defeat. Closing. Alexandre Cazes spent 3 years building something genuinely impressive by any technical measure. A marketplace more sophisticated and more professionally run than anything the dark web had produced before it. He chose his location carefully. He structured his finances to be difficult to trace. He lived openly in a place he believed was beyond legal reach. And he was caught because of an email address he used when he was building the site in 2014, an address connected to his LinkedIn profile, his legitimate business, and his real name. The username Alpha02 had been maintained with extraordinary discipline for nearly a decade. The real Alexandre Cazes left his personal email in the welcome message on day 1. Operation Bayonet remains the clearest demonstration of what happens when law enforcement turns a dark web takedown into an intelligence operation, using one criminal marketplace to surveil the users fleeing to another, closing both traps at the same time. The dark web was not designed to be penetrable. It was designed to be anonymous. But anonymity is only as strong as its weakest moment. And for Alphabi, the weakest moment was its first. Every story leaves a trace. This has been traced.